LBC News Time, 9:34 right now. Let's get an update on something that is going to be happening later on today. The West Ham boss, David Moyes, hopes that supporters don't let their anger against the club's owners boil over during today's home game against Southampton. Some fans are planning more protests against David Sullivan and David Gold. It is the third such event that's been organised by the fan group Hammers United and is anticipated to be the largest, with reports of fans flying in from Italy, Finland and Malta. West Ham, of course, currently 18th place in the Premier League in the relegation zone. Joining me now is Graeme Howlett, the editor of KUMB, one of the oldest and largest West Ham forums. Thank you very much for joining us here on LBC News this morning.
Hi, John.
Hiya. So why is there so much discontent in the ranks at West Ham at the moment?
Well, it's the fans' way of kind of marking 10 years of the current administration, stretching right back to 2010. Karen Brady, for one, has upset the fans time and time again. And I think what's absolutely essential here is to point out that this isn't just a knee-jerk reaction to, you know, the club's recent form and a few lost football matches. This is a reaction to 10 years of what the supporters deem to be complete mismanagement of the football club by Brady, Gold and Sullivan. You can go back to things such as Karen Brady referring to the East End as a hotbed of racism, telling the supporters to bog off. There's a whole litany of issues and problems that she's caused. And also the fact that the club has not been run particularly well. There is no real structure in terms of the scouting network or director of football or, anything at the club. It's kind of run as almost like a personal fiefdom of David Sullivan's. And quite frankly, John, the fans have just had enough now, and the supporters group Hammers United are leading the charge, as you mentioned there, with another protest today, which will be taking place along the Greenway from lunchtime up until kick-off this afternoon. But if I could just make it clear, one thing I would like to point out, because I think there was a little bit of confusion in your news bulletin a few moments ago, there is absolutely no intention whatsoever of the protest being carried over inside the stadium. Hammers United have made it absolutely clear that, once the demonstration is finished before the game, that everybody, once inside the stadium, should unite as a group to get behind the team. I can't make that clear enough. I know the club have tried to paint that picture a little bit, over the last few days, but that's absolutely not the case. Everyone, once inside that stadium, will be fully behind David Moyes and the team. OK. How do you think that this resolves itself going forward? Because there is already another protest planned for the Wolves game later this month, isn't there? Yeah, it seems to be. I think Hammers United, as I say, I'm not a member of Hammers United. I can't speak on their behalf. But, obviously I've dealt with them reasonably closely over the last few weeks and months. I think they see this as being a long campaign with the ultimate aim of the removal of the vice chair and hopefully with the current owners selling to someone who's, more capable of taking the club forward. And, are you optimistic that could happen? Well, nothing happens if people sit on their hands. It's going to be difficult. The old adage, sack the board, we know that doesn't really mean anything. But the point is, David Sullivan and David Gold own the club. Karen Brady is just an employee. And, we know that there's already some concern over her performance from the owners. I think the key from the protesters' point of view is to carry on applying the pressure and really just see where that takes them. It's going to be peaceful. There's no intention to, cause any trouble. It's going to take time. That is their intention, to carry on the protest, to keep it going and just see where that takes it. OK, Graeme Howlett, editor of KUMB, one of the oldest and largest West Ham forums. Thank you very much for joining us here on LBC News.